Hey there everyone, welcome to another video, and today we are going to be discussing this week's total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. So I'm Cassandra from CassandraTindall.com, and welcome to all the new subscribers. It's wonderful to see you all here. So as I said, today we are going to look at the lunar eclipse coming up, but first I wanted to answer a quick question that's come through some of my social platforms, and that is about how do I get into the golden circle. So yes, it's a little bit mysterious right now. And one of the reasons for that is because I sort of run it a little bit via email and off the back end. But hopefully, while Jupiter is still in Pisces, I will finally get my online portal up and have a little bit more of a streamlined delivery system. So if you do want to get into the Golden Circle or find out more about it, it is my membership offering. I'm super excited about it. I love doing it. So go to the website, CassandraTindall.com, and click on the blog. You can just pop in Golden Circle into the little search bar there, and it will take you straight to that post. It's also going, I'll pop a link in the description box for you too, so you don't have to go all through this. But this is where all the information is about the circle. So it is a monthly offering. So each month you get content that outlines all of the transits that occur each month. So you'll get videos that outline that. So that is excellent if you want to deepen your understanding of the moving sky, if you want to understand how the sky interacts with your own birth chart, and maybe fill in some gaps of your astrological knowledge, or even supercharge some studies that you're already doing. So in the month you also get, or in the membership you also get, as I said, the videos that outline the astrology weather. I also offer a calendar in 2 different time zones, so the Southern Hemisphere and the North, where you can at a glance see all the aspects. So you know which ones to maybe highlight for you, or the ones that you are most looking forward to. And I'll also, there's a couple of printouts there that outline my favorite aspects for the month, and also what the moon is doing. There's also some bonus content there depending on when it happens throughout the year. So obviously eclipses, major ingresses like Jupiter and Pisces, for example, retrogradations, and various things that happen. So when you sign up, there's also some bonus material there. So you'll get a bit of an Astro one-on-one workshop, a few other goodies that I can't quite remember right now. Oh yeah, here we go, there they are, lunar phase recording, some articles. So just to sort of help you if you need that additional, check your chart sort of stuff. And then of course there is a 50% off for a consultation. You get that each year that you're inside the circle, and of course discounts on courses, webinars, etc. So it's like about 101 Australian dollars, which is about 76 US for the entire year. Now, once I go into the online portal, some of those offers and bonus content won't be available. So if you do want to get in on that foundation membership, it's a really good time to do that. We also have, I don't think I mentioned it, each month we do a Q&A just prior to the new moon. So it's great for working with the lunation cycles, and of course your opportunity to just ask questions about your chart, about astrology, and get to know a few of the other Golden Circle members as well. So back to this eclipse. So we've got an eclipse this Wednesday, 26th of May, and that's the same date in all of the time zones. And here in Australia, we get to see the eclipse in its totality. So it's a real spotlight on us as far as that's concerned. But for all the time zones, here in Australia on the East Coast, we've got 9:13 p.m. So this Wednesday night. New York time zone, Eastern Seaboard there in the USA, it will be 13 minutes past 7 on Wednesday morning. And in the London time zone, we've got 13 minutes past 12 in the afternoon, so a lunchtime eclipse. So here in Australia, we do get that full totality. So I wanted to share with you another a website. If you've not come across this before, this is going to be an excellent resource for you to look at different planetary events, obviously from the astronomical standpoint as opposed to the astrological. It's timeanddate.com, so that's really handy if you do want to learn more about eclipses and where they can be seen from. So as you can see in the bright red countries, which is basically Australia, New Zealand, and I'm pretty sure that's Papua New Guinea, of course, Antarctica too, is where the entire eclipse from start to end is visible. So personally, I want to drive down to the Gold Coast. I'm not too far from the Gold Coast. I'm going to sit on the beach and I want to see that red moon rise over the ocean. Obviously not the most ideal thing to do from a magical perspective, but I do want to do it. It would be pretty magical to see a red moon rising. And then, of course, as we go through other parts of the globe, so the South America's there, just trying to think of my geography. So we've got, I think, Brazil, maybe a bit of Chile, maybe Ecuador. Yes, I can't quite remember all those countries, but some of the South Americas, of course, we've got all the Central America, Mexico, sort of into the west coast there of the USA, into some of the more central parts, Canada too. Then we've sort of got, the Indonesia, all that Australasia area, all the way up to sort of Japan and further up that top end of Russia too. So yeah, and when we're looking at, eclipses from a mundane astrological perspective, where the eclipse is the most visible is going to highlight where things can be a little bit perhaps more volatile and active in those countries. Funnily enough, just prior to getting online to create this video for you, a friend messaged me a news report about our Prime Minister here wanting to he's really pushing the agenda about interstate vaccine passports, which is, I think it's a bit ludicrous personally, but interesting when we think about this sign that the eclipse is falling in is Sagittarius, is one of the signs that does symbolize travel. It symbolizes belief, religion, and all of those things. And our Prime Minister sort of is in that. He's more of the fundamental Christian persuasion, and he's trying to sort of limit the way that Australians can move within our own country as per this suggestion of a passport vaccine. So this is a South Node eclipse. And so South Nodes do tend to denote purification or loss or banishing or cutting ties. So when we start to personalize how these eclipses can work, so we'll bring up a chart now and you'll be able to see the screen and what this eclipse will symbolize. So before we get into the meaning of this particular eclipse, how can we identify an eclipse in a birth chart? I think is really important. So if you're looking at charts, your own, friends, family, or clients, what have you, it can be really helpful to be able to quickly identify if they were born at an eclipse. And so if you've got a chart that's either a new moon or a full moon, so the new moon would be there with the sun, or the full moon would be opposite the sun, you've got the full moon or the new moon. But what we're really looking for within an eclipse situation is the sun. It's the position of the sun being close to the nodes, either the north or the south. Now, when I say close, we're generally speaking around an 18-degree window there. So the sun could be applying to a node within 18 degrees or separating from the node within 18 degrees. So with this particular eclipse that's happening midweek, we can see that the sun is super close to the north node, just 5 degrees away, therefore making this eclipse total. So closer the sun is to the node, the more totality that eclipse would be. So if that sun, for example, was at, let's just say 23 Gemini, it would be 10 degrees away from the node. So it would not be quite as total and would be therefore classed as a partial eclipse. So what makes an eclipse different is that to a regular new or full moon, is obviously this nodal influence. And new moon and full moons, they will happen each month at the same zodiacal degree. So the new moon would be at the same zodiacal degree, and the full moon would be at the same degree, but in its opposition. But when they occur within the nodes, they become an eclipse. And this will tell us that these lunations occur on the same plane. So the sun, the moon, and the earth occupy the same plane or the same axis. So they actually make an all but perfect alignment. And because this eclipse is super tight, which is why we're going to get that full blood moon, that red moon phenomena. And so that happens because when the earth is situated between the full moon, the sun and the moon, when the sun shines its light onto earth and that sort of bounces off the atmosphere, and then the moon reflects that. I don't know the physics behind it, but when the moon reflects that back, it appears red. And so that's why we get that red color. So generally speaking, because eclipses are classed as disruptions to the regular lunation patterns, and this one perhaps even more so because it's a red moon, they are generally considered to be more malefic celestial events. So when we're talking about countries, when we're talking about people in positions of leadership, they tend to bring events that are, less favorable. However, working with people, working with clients, eclipses do show portals of opportunity to grow in certain areas of our life, and then maybe sort of reframe, rearrange, or sever or cut ties a little bit in other parts of our life. It's also important to remember that nodes do transit always in opposition. So it's not like you can kind of cut your nose off to spite your face when it comes to an eclipse, because where there will be growth in one part of life will sometimes come at the cost or the expense of another part of life. And so say, for example, if you are, guns blazing, great guns in terms of your career prospects right now, the payoff or the opportunity cost of that might be in the home and family environment, maybe less time at home or less mental focus with family because, your mind is always on what's happening in other parts of your life. The converse may be true. If you are investing a lot of energy into relationship right now, might mean it's a little bit less about you and more about the growth of that partnership, whether it is personal or professional. So one way that we can start to tie in how this eclipse might tie into themes of the past and to kind of start to personalize it a little bit for each of us is to think about what was going on the last time the eclipses were taking place in the signs of either Sagittarius or Gemini. And so obviously there will be a new moon eclipse next month in Gemini, but we're just going to really hone in on this week's eclipse. But think about March 2011 and 2012, that period between March 2011, August 2012. We had eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius then too. The key point of difference between the eclipses now and those eclipses then is that the nodes were reversed. So where there was perhaps some loss or release or letting go in one area of your life, which back then would have been the Gemini part of your chart, this time is where you're getting perhaps a little bit more growth or that portal of potential that you can grow or expand or push forward into other parts of your life. So it's like the Gemini part of life is getting really lit up for you now, whereas when we had the last set of eclipses in these two signs, it was more the Sagittarius part of your life that was getting a little bit more activated or on fast forward, if you like. Now, between October 2001 and April 2003, the eclipses were happening in the same sequence as they are right now, with the North Node being in Gemini and the South Node being in Sagittarius. So you might sort of see perhaps, for example, the Gemini part of your birth chart in 2001 to 2003 was maybe more alive, or there was opportunities to push forward or move forward, maybe at the little bit of a cost or disadvantage to some extent to the Sagittarius part of that axis in your birth chart. Then that became reversed in 2011 and 2012. And now that Gemini part is getting lit up again, okay, because of the position of the North Node. So if you start to maybe reflect and think about events of life around those dates, might give you a little bit of an idea of how these eclipses may play out for you. So even though the eclipses overall are not classed as benefic, in fact, they're more malefic, but on the personal level, I do feel that eclipses are portals of growth. And the old adage, one door closes, another opens, is really true when we're talking about eclipses. And sometimes the North Node can show this where life can be a little bit on fast forward, or there's opportunities that come, but you have to grab it. But in order to grab that possibility, you might have to let another one go. And so that's that sort of balance. And the nodes are always in opposition to each other. So even though this particular eclipse puts the focus on the Sagittarius part of our charts, there's still the Gemini part, because they do always kind of operate in that sort of seesaw opposition perspective. So going back to the eclipse that we're coming into this week, we can see that we've got a few things to look at here to sort of, what would this particular eclipse potentially suggest? So we've got the South Node lunar eclipse, so full moon eclipse attached to the South Node. So full moons, particularly eclipses, it's like a full moon on steroids, if you like. That there may be more drama or more emotions, or the sense of a turning point or a rise and then a fall or a culmination in a particular area of your life. And with the South Node there may be this idea that maybe what got me here is not going to get me there. And when we're talking about Sagittarius, primarily we're thinking about beliefs, we're thinking about opinions, we're thinking about philosophies, the ideals that we hold true, and maybe some of those dogmatic parts of ourselves where we put our stake in the ground and go, yes, this is the hill I want to die on. And we might be starting to think about, well, actually, this isn't the hill. We want a different hill. So in order to think about that, it's the South Node might invite us to, the South Node in astrology is often seen as a spiritualizing point. And when we go through a process of spiritualization, it's generally not about gain. It's not about accumulation. It's not about material things. It's about letting go of something that should be in order to claim something that could be. And this might even be about themes of travel and adventure. If you were that real travel bunny wanting to pack your bags and go all the places, this might also be shifting some of your beliefs or ideas around what's truly meaningful and important to you. And this is really what Sagittarius also symbolizes. What is meaningful? What is important? What do I believe in? Where do I get a feeling of sense and purpose, or meaning and purpose, a sense of that? So with the South Node implicated with this eclipse, this might be changing. And obviously take into account the house position of Sagittarius for you as well. That will give you some more insight around what are some of your beliefs or philosophies and perspectives. And what got me to this point in that house topic, is that going to get me to where I actually want to be or where I want to go? Now, we've also got an interesting configuration here too, where we have the ruler of the eclipse, which is Jupiter, has now just moved into Pisces. So Jupiter's fresh in Pisces, and it will be there till about July 28. And Jupiter is in its home sign of Pisces. So it's almost like we're being cosmically invited to purify or purge some of our old beliefs and philosophies and that kind of dogmatic or preachy idea of Sagittarius, and go into this more internal or compassionate or forgiving or more subterranean idea of Jupiter. And rather than how things should be in the outer world, how could they be in our inner world that might support the growth in other ways or places too? So the South Node eclipse is really about purging, purifying, cutting ties, and the idea of banishing as well. So when the eclipse happens in Sagittarius, over the next couple of days, and I've had people discuss this with me already, that they are finding that their physical bodies, the moon, are going through processes of purging or elimination already. And that might be through just sort of the bowel movements and the evacuation that can happen there, which is very common under eclipses. So if you do get an upset tummy or something like that over the next couple of days, that could be your signal that there's a little bit of work to be done energetically. You also might decide that you just want to tidy up things a little bit, maybe a little bit less sugar, a little bit less alcohol, or maybe you want to purge or purify some of the media that you're consuming, or some of the beliefs and the opinions and all of those kind of sound bites that just get thrown at us, and you're thinking, do I really want to kind of have this in my sphere anymore? So under the eclipse, it's a really great time to have rest, to be gentle on the body, like you're doing any kind of detox. Your energy levels can be low, and when we're talking about South Node eclipses, this is really, really common too. So it may be a good idea to not sort of ask too much of your body this week, and to take it a little bit more gentle or easy. So maybe foods that are easier to digest, or exercise that is more restorative or gentle, as opposed to, really working a sweat up. So just like we do any type of detox, it can, sometimes there's a feeling of being worse or feeling worse before you get better. So those are just the few pointers to watch out for. Sometimes baths can be really good. Some people recommend different chanting, or salt is very cleansing too. So that might be something like a nice salt bath. Oftentimes, it's usually good to not be in the energy of the eclipse, so maybe staying indoors, although it is always very tempting to want to go out and see a beautiful red moon. So maybe a little quick peek, and then do some cleansing in whatever way, shape or form works for you. So that might be journal writing, working through feelings, working through relationships with other people. It could be smudging your home, or doing some purging or purifying of clutter, and those type of things as well. So as I said, the eclipse is this Wednesday across all of the time zones. Here in Australia, we will get a full view of this beautiful lunation. So hopefully we have clear skies on Wednesday night. And best of luck for the eclipse. I hope that it's a very gentle, restorative, but also illuminating in all the right ways, in how you may want to recalibrate or shift some of your own personal beliefs and philosophies that support your growth in a way that is more gentle or inclusive, or leading to where it feels right for your soul and right for your being, as opposed to how things have always been or should be, or that all those kind of shoulds or dogmatic ideas and beliefs. So it's a really great eclipse to go within and tap into the needs of your body, and that might also help relieve, or not relieve, but sorry, reveal some of that more inner work that you might be invited to do under this eclipse. So as I said, if you do like these kind of videos and you'd like to get more juicy details of all the astrology each and every month, I'll pop that link of the golden circle in the descriptions below. And best of luck for this eclipse. And please leave in the comments which house it is for you, and how some of these themes or ideas that I've discussed around the eclipse may be playing out for you already. So I wish you all the best, and I look forward to catching you in the next video very soon.